Hello, welcome. My name is Van and thank you for joining me. Today we are going to walk through a practical application of the full cost method using a case study of an industrial company. This presentation is a part of the cost accounting and management controls course for the winter of 2025. The goal here is to move vision theory and see how these accounting principles are used in the real world to analyze the product profitability. By the end of this section, you will understand how to allocate costs from the factory on the way to the final income statement, and more importantly, how to use such information to make strategic business decisions. Before we dive into the number, let's first understanding the company we are analyzing by looking at its operational process flow. This context is crucial for understanding where costs are generated. So our company name is produce two kind product, the gearbox assembly and hydraulic pump. The management is questioning the production cost and profitability of these two products. So our objective is to use the full cost method to calculate the total cost of each product and determine its profitability. Let's start. First, we have to look at the operational process flow of the company. First, we have a procurement. This is where the company buys its essential raw materials, steel, alloy, and aluminum casing. Next, these materials enter production workshop number 1. Here, they undergo initial processes like melting and machining. From there, the components move to production in the workshop 2 for the final step, assembly and finishing. Once the products are complete, and in this case, the company makes two products, the gearbox assembly and hydraulic pump. They are sent to the storage as a finished goods inventory. Finally, the process ends with distribution, where the products are sold and delivered to customers. So understanding this flow of operational process flow will help us to see that costs are incurred at every single stage, and our job is to capture and allocate them correctly. So, in order to do that, our first major task, the step 1, is to handle the indirect costs. Indirect costs are expenses that aren't tied to any single product, right? Like a factory rent or a supervisor salary. Because they support the entire process operation, we need a logical way to allocate them to the different departments or centers, and then ultimately to the products themselves. So here we have 4 cost centers: procurement, workshop 1, workshop 2, and distribution. To do this, we use what called a cost driver. A cost driver is a factor that has a strong correlation with the cost incurred. For example, the procurement department costs are driven by the amount of material it purchases. It means that the kilogram of material purchased. On this slide, you will see the summary table we are going to complete. We have the total indirect costs for each of our four main centers. Procurement at 100,020, workshop 1 at 300,000, 391,680, and so on. We also have designated cost driver for each center. For example, kilogram of material purchase for procurement and direct labor hour for workshop 1. Our first task is to calculate the total driver for each center. Let's do that now. Right? So here in this table, you can see that they mention about the cost per driver unit. For example, procurement is 10 euro, right? And etc. Let's calculate the total driver for each of our four centers. First, for procurement, the driver is a kilogram of raw material purchased. The company purchased 8,000 kilograms of steel alloy and 3,000 kilograms of aluminum casting. So our total driver quantity is 9,000 plus the 3,000, which equals 12,000 kilograms. Next, for workshop 1, the cost driver. The driver here is direct labor hours. The data tells us that 420 hours work on the gearbox product and 260 hours on the pump. Adding those together give us a total of 680 direct labor hours for workshop 1. Now for workshop 2, the cost driver is a machine hour. For the gearbox, 760 hours were used, and for the pump, 440 hours was used. The total driver quantity is therefore 760 hours plus 440 hours, which is 1,200 machine hours. Finally, for distribution, the driver is the number of products sold. The company sold 1,591 gearboxes and 585 units of pumps. So the total number of units sold is 1,591 plus 585, which equal 2,176 units. Now that we have the total drivers, we calculate the allocation rate or cost per driver unit. This is found by dividing the total indirect cost, right? Total indirect cost to each center by its total driver. For procurement, 120,000 divided by 12 kilograms, so 10 euro per kilogram purchase, right? So for workshop number 1, right? So we have 3,391 divided by 680 labor hour give us 576 per direct labor. In fact, all of this information already calculated in the table, but just to let you know that this is the information that we can calculate if maybe you have a total driver or maybe you have cost per unit driver. Okay. So now we we already have all information. We move to step 2, where we determine the full cost of our raw material. We will start with the steel alloy. First, we calculate the total purchase cost of steel alloy. This is not just the supply price, it includes the indirect procurement cost we just calculated, right? So, and after that, we will calculate the weighted average unit cost, right? So, for the total purchase cost, this put here. Okay, so you can see that this is the total purchase cost, is the direct material cost and indirect procurement cost. So here for the indirect procurement cost, the unit the cost right is by the quantity. So you will use the unit cost of 10. So you have a 90,000. The total purchase cost should be the 108,000 plus 90,000 and equal, which is equal 189,000. For the quantity here, after the purchase is the 9,000, so you have a unit cost, a purchase cost of steel alloy equals the total amount 198,000 divided by quantity of 9,000, so we have a $22 per kilogram. So now we calculate the value of now we need to value the steel that we use in production. We do this using the weighted average unit cost or WRUC. This method averages the cost of our beginning inventory with the cost of our new purchases, which smooths our price variation. The formula is total value of inventory at the beginning plus the total quantity of, we started with 4,500 kilogram in inventory at the beginning, value 126,000. We add our new purchase of 9,000 kilogram, value at 189,000. So our total available inventory is therefore 13,500 kilogram with the total value of 324,000. So we divide the total value by the total quantity. Give us the weighted average unit cost of 24 euro per kilogram. This is the unit cost we use when we calculate the cost of production. So now we will continue to the step 2 by calculate the raw material cost of the aluminum casing. So for this one, we repeat the same process for our second raw material, the aluminum casing. First, the full purchase cost. The direct cost is 3,000 kilogram with at the unit cost of 30 euro per kilogram at the 102,000. We add the indirect procurement cost of 3,000 kilogram times our cost of 10 euro per kilogram rate. which is 30,000. This gives us the total purchase cost of 132,000 for the aluminum. This is also our total amount, and we obtain the weighted average unit cost of the aluminum casting. It means that the total purchase cost should be equal the total amount divided by quantity of 44 euros. Next, we calculate the Next, we calculate the weight for the aluminum. We started with 1,000 kilogram for inventory value at 36,000. We add our new purchase of 3,000 kilogram at 132,000. This gives us the total available inventory of 4,000, and with the total revenue 168,000. So the weighted average unit cost should be for casting aluminum casting is 168,000 divided by 4,000 kilogram, which equal 42 euro per kilogram. This is the cost we will use for aluminum consumed in production. We have our indirect cost rate and our raw material cost. Now in step 3, we can calculate the cost of production starting with the gearbox assembly. This is where we bring everything together. Looking at the table below, right? Okay, you can see how the cost is built. First, we have a direct cost. The cost of thin alloy used is 3,000 kilogram times our weight, the average unit cost of 20 euro kilogram, which is 86,400. The cost of we do the same for the cost of aluminum casting, right? The cost of aluminum casting is 2,420 kilogram multiplied by the cost 42 euro. So you obtain the 1,640. So now we add the direct labor from both workshop, right? So 75,600 from workshop 1 and 111,600 from workshop 2. So you can see from here, we multiply the quantity by the unit cost per hour. So we have a direct labor at both workshop 1 and workshop 2. We then add the direct labor from both workshops, right? Next, we add the calculations the indirect cost using the rate we calculate in the step 1. Workshop 1, the indirect cost is 422 direct labor hour, and workshop 2 is the number of machine hour multiplied by the rate unit cost driver. So here you can see that you have to be very careful because the indirect cost of the workshop 1 should be the labor hour 420, and here's the unit cost in the table 1 that we calculate. For indirect cost from workshop 2 should be the machine hour. It means that 760 hours multiplied by the rate of 374. Finally, we calculate the total cost of production by the calculate the total cost divided by number of units produced, right? So look at here. Number of units produced here is 1,300. Where we can find this information, we can look at the production during this period by each product, right? And in order to calculate the cost of production, we sum up all of the direct cost and indirect cost divided by the quantity. So we have a unit cost of the sample gearbox after the workshop tool is 698 euro per unit. Okay, here's how we calculate. And in the next step, we calculate the inventory cost for gearbox assembly. So we divide by two steps. The first step, we calculate the total goods available for sale. The second step, we calculate the weighted average unit cost, right? Okay, so let's look at this. As you know that in the previous step, we calculate the production cost after workshop tool is 698 euro per unit. This is only the cost of 1,300 of units of of gearbox that you have to produce, right? So, I think that here I make mistake. It's not a hydraulic pump, but it's the gearbox. So we have to correct it later. Okay. So we started with 900 units value at 586,800. We add the new production of 1,300 units and add the value of 907,040. So this is a give us a total of 2,200 units available for sale as a combined value of 1,494,200. The new weighted average unit cost for gearbox. I'm sorry, I make mistake in the post. Is 679 per unit. We use this number to calculate our cost of goods sold. I'm very sorry. It should be inventory for gearbox, right? So we do the same method as we use for the gearbox assembly using the specific quantity and hours for hydraulic pump, right? Now, following the identical method, first we add up the direct and indirect cost. Direct material steel at 51,600, aluminum at 54,180, direct labor 46,800 from workshop 1 and 54,600 from workshop 2. For indirect cost, we also have to remember that the indirect cost from workshop 1, the cost driver is an hour of labor hour, and for workshop number 2, seller machine hour, and we apply the rate in the indirect table that we calculate. So we sum all of the cost. So we have a total cost of production is 521,500, and for the production of 500 pump. Right? So here you can see that the unit here is the unit produced. It means that's 500, right? This result is the unit cost of production of 1,040 euro. Notice how much higher it is than the gearbox at 698 cost. This is an important observation that you have to look as you look this one. You can see that this is from gearbox 679, and now we have 1,000 and 1043. Okay, so now we move to the next step. We can calculate the inventory cost for hydraulic pump by two steps. The first step we use the method we calculate all of the total goods available for sale. The second step we calculate the weighted average unit cost of this product line. We combine the beginning inventory of 300 units with the new production of 500 units, so this gives us a total of 800 units available. So total value is 310,500 plus the 521,500, which gives us the 832,000. So the weighted average unit cost of hydraulic pump is equal to the total amount divided by quantity of the total quantity of goods available for sale is equals to 1,040 euro per unit. We are arrived at the final step, step 4, where we analyze the profitability of each product. Okay, let's begin with the highly anticipated result for gearbox product. So for this one in the step 4, we calculate the cost of goods sold. This is the full cost of units sold, including production and distribution costs. In the second step, we calculate the net operating income should be the difference between the sales revenues and the total cost of goods sold. Okay, so first we calculate the cost of goods sold or COGS. This includes both the production cost and distribution cost. The production cost for 1,591 units is calculated using our finished goods weighted average cost units 1,591 unit times 679, which is 1,080,578. To this, we add the distribution cost of the 1,590 unit times our 60 euro per unit rate, which is 95,460. This gives us the total cost of goods sold is 1,176,038 euro. We calculate the unit cost, it should be equal to the amount minus the quantity sold. It means that the total cost of goods sold in our case is 760 euro per unit. Now we can build our income analytic income statement. So sales revenue from selling 1,591 unit at 820 euro, each is 1,304,620. We subtract the total cost of goods sold we just calculated before 1,176,038 euro. This leaves us as a net operating income of 1,028,582. This is a very positive result for the gearbox product line. If you want to calculate the net operating income per unit, so you can use the total amount divided by quantity. So we can say that at every single product sold, the company earns a net operating income of 81 euro. Now let's perform the same analysis for the hydraulic pump. We can refer to the next two tables on this other side on the next following. So first we calculate the goods cost of goods sold. The product cost for the 585,000 units sold is based on the weighted average unit cost of 1,040 euro per unit, which is 608,400. The distribution cost is 585 units times 60 euro per unit of distribution cost, which is 35,100. So the total cost of goods sold is therefore 643,500. Right? So now we calculate the okay. Now we will look at the income statement. The sales revenue for the pump was 585 units at 1,080 each. So totaling we have amount of the sales revenue of 631,800. So we subtract the cost of goods sold at the 643,500. And here we have very different result. Net operating loss of 11,700. So we can say that this product is not profitable, or if we want to calculate at each unit cost when the company sells, they lost $20. Okay. So this summary slide tell us the whole story. Why the company is profitable overall, which a total net income of nearly 117,000. This top level number is misleading. Why? Because the gearbox assembly is a star performer. It is a high profitable, generating over 128,000 in income, and is clearly the financial backbone of the company. However, the hydraulic pump is unprofitable, generating a loss of 11,500. In fact, the data shows that the company loses every $20 for every single unit it sells. This is a critical insight. The success of gearbox assembly is currently hiding the losses the hydraulic pump. Without this full cost analysis, management may never know, right? So, what should the company do? This analysis leads directly to the 7 strategic purchases. First and foremost, management must address the hydraulic pump. They have a few options. They could try to raise the selling price to get it about the 100 and 1,000 break-even cost. They could conduct a deep analysis of its high production cost and to find the efficiency and reduce them. Or it cannot be made profitable, they should seriously consider discontinuing the production line. Second, the company should adjust its selling and marketing strategy to focus its efforts on the highly profitable gearbox assembly. Finally, there are always operational improvements to be made, such as negotiating lower raw material price, or reviewing the indirect cost of driver to ensure they remain accurate. Right? So there's some suggestion for improvement. Okay, in conclusion, what we have learned today, we've seen that the full cost method is an incredibly powerful tool. It goes beyond surface level numbers to reveal the true profitability of individual products. This case study has clearly shown that while The company appears healthy on the whole. One of its product lines requires immediate and serious strategic attention. This is a kind of actionable insight that cost accounting is designed to provide. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'm now happy to open the floor for any questions you may have. Thank you and bye.